Good morning, welcome to the second day of the Atlas Mountain Race 2023. It looks like we might have new leaders in both the men's and the women's races. And so yeah, let's look at the map and see what's been going on overnight. So we are on the second day of the race now, or the second full day of the race. So there's been 2 nights. I suspect most people would have pushed through the first night, because it started at 6 p.m, so it didn't really make much sense, and they would have been crossing the really high pass, which we discussed yesterday, which was quite snowy. But it looks like some or most riders have decided to sleep, and potentially we've got a new leader overall. I'm not 100%. I think so. If we look at Paul Voss, his dot is showing that he's pretty much at CP2. But if you replay it, I think it's one of the. Sometimes you get kind of like his dots floating all over the place, so you can see it's kind of drifting. So unless he's taken a canoe down this river, I think his tracker is probably not quite working right. So yeah, so Justina, most people look like they stopped in Tazkanat, which is one of the bigger towns. Unfortunately, my laptop's not keeping up with me, but you can see there's a fairly firm race pattern forming now. So potentially Paul has taken the lead. I wouldn't be 100% surprised if this is the case, but I think we probably will have a better idea later on. If his tracker is playing up, then hopefully he'll either change the batteries or get it replaced. But I'm pretty sure he stopped on the first night, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of banked that sleep and then he's ridden through the second night and then caught up. He's a guy with with pro racing cycling pedigree, so he's definitely got the engine for it. Justinus and Robin, firstly, corrections corner. I butchered a number of names yesterday, so thank you for the corrections. If I do mispronounce anything, just like send me a little voice note on Instagram or something like that. So Robin Gumperle, I think that's right. And sorry, I messed his name up. And Mattia De Marchi, not Marchi. Sorry, Mattia. But these guys, we've got what looks like a fairly solid lead group, and these are the guys I would have thought before the race would have been up there. Oliver Beresford, he seems to have had a fairly big stop. I wasn't quite sure what. Obviously, I don't know much about him, so I'm not overly surprised he's dropped off. But he seems like he's super strong, so you can't rule it out at the moment. And then you've got guys like Stephen Eric. You just cannot rule this guy out. He's done the race in October, so he's nice and steady. And then you've got you guys like Kevin Benkenstein. Benke's super strong, super strong. Jeff Kirkove again knows how to look after himself. And then there's this large sort of group of riders here, and you might just notice in the front here, Louisa Werner. She looks to have taken the lead in the women's race. But it's very close with her and Molly Weaver. So if we look at the standings on the side here, and it has to be noted as well, they are running really high in the overall race, which is excellent. There's a lot of they're not far off. Some big riders in the overall field. So Louisa Werner, again, I don't know an awful lot about her, to be honest. But she looks to have snuck ahead of Molly. Maybe Molly had a big sleep overnight. So you can't always kind of take everything as you see it when you're checking in the morning. For reference, it's 7:45 UK time, so 8:45 on the race. So it would have been light for getting on for a couple of hours now. But once we get to the CP2, which the lead riders are just heading towards, we'll have a clearer idea. But yeah, Louisa looks like she's taken the lead overnight. Maybe she slept less than Molly. We just don't know who's moving quicker over the ground at the moment, but she's done 363k. Molly, 352. When I checked earlier, it was only a couple of K, so that would probably suggest that Molly's staying somewhere. Where is she? Molly Weaver. Let's just have a little zoom in. Afra, yeah. Oh, look at that. It looks like there's a few people, yeah, but a lot of people. There must be a little auberge or something there. So obviously Molly is decided to sleep overnight. So I would suggest that's probably a good move at this time. You know, Molly's got the engine. She's super strong. You know, she's got that World Tour experience in her legs. So I would suspect that that she might well, judging by previous form, start sort of closing that gap up again. But from a dot watching point of view, it makes it really cool to watch. So yeah, the race is kicking off. So CP2, well, apparently Paul Voss is almost there. Although, like I say, I'm a little bit dubious about the accuracy of his dot at the moment. We should find out sooner. But even like the gap between Robin and Justinas is closing in. Matea's closing in. Sebastian Brau's closing in. So the race is on, and I'd say any of those guys could probably take the overall at the moment. Let's have a little bit of a look at the course. So, sorry, my laptop is not quite woken up this morning. I'll zoom out a little bit. So essentially, there is. I'll click the weather as well. Get that going while it thinks about it. So essentially, you see this large ridge here. So this is the high atlas, and then this is the anti-atlas down here, and in the middle, it's kind of like almost like a big basin. It's like more rolling hills, and you can kind of see the cold air is sticking to them. So the wind's all over the shop. I'd suggest that there's hardly any wind, based on my sort of fairly recent experience. But it does look like it is still pretty cold, even though they're hitting the southernmost points of the race. It doesn't look particularly warm, but the sun should be out. I wouldn't have thought there's much in the way of cloud cover, so that should make conditions a little bit easier for the riders during the day at least. But like I say, it's 12-hour nights, so it is going to be quite chilly. I've got a little bit of video to show you. From the kind of the sort of the next section of the course. So when I left you yesterday, Justinas was just heading into the remote section of the race. It's 100 kilometers. I mean, to be fair, there are quite a few remote sections of the race, but the longest is 100k, and that's this section here. And there's a small shop at the other side which you really have to resupply at, otherwise you'll be in a bit of difficulty. But it's an amazing section. So you cross the river I showed you yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's video, just go back and then this will make more sense. And then there's some pretty stiff climbs. So this was me last year riding with Stephen Laharic, and it's quite, I mean, it's not technical in terms of a mountain bike turn, but you want to be on a mountain bike to make it smooth. You'd struggle on a gravel bike up this stuff. And it just makes the riding a little bit harder. But you get this amazing descent. You just go down this massive gorge. I don't think I took GoPro from the actual proper descent where you're literally going along the edge of it. I think I was having too much fun to hit record. But it's out of this world, and the riders will be having a great time. The terrain changes all the time, and it's just fantastic. It's a really good race. And then, so the riders are currently heading towards CP2. There's a pretty high and pretty long pass, which is this one here. I rode with the Team Armani guys last year. Joffrey and Kenneth, they caught me at the bottom, and then they went way too hard and blew up, and I caught them again, which was quite amusing when they turned up at the checkpoint. So that's kind of what most of the field is probably going to be seeing over the next 24 hours. And what are they eating? Well, they'll be eating this. There's not really many other options. This is a luxurious one because you get an orangina as well. But omelette. If you're lucky, you get some cheese. And when I say cheese, I mean like the sort of the triangles. So that's what's going on there. Let's just have another little look at some social media, see what's going on in the race. Let's start with the official Atlas Mountain Race Instagram, because they have some really great photographers on the race, and they really do a good job of covering the race, and not influencing it too much. So yeah, just flicking through here, obviously that's the master plan. It's just as hard covering a race as it is racing it, I can assure you, having done both. Lots of cats everywhere. And yeah, frozen water seems to be a theme. Obviously it's really cold and your water just freezes up. So you can actually dehydrate in cold conditions. This will be the top of, I think it's Telluride Pass, the big one, 2,600 meters. Down the goat track. I mean, look at the state. This is definitely a dishevelled rider. One leg warmer down, one up. And as you can see, as I suspected, there's not too much snow up there, but probably in the shaded areas. I mean, even when I was in there in January, there was snow in some of the shaded areas, and there hadn't been any precipitation for the best part of a week. Look at that. It's incredible, isn't it? So yeah, so that looks like that's what's coming out of the first pass. Everyone's finding shelter inside by the looks of it, because I could imagine camping out would be pretty rubbish. So yeah, so that is the official feed. Wendy Ellis, she is a very experienced dog watcher. She's made it to the first checkpoint, and she had some great stuff. Sheep and stuff and goats are, quite a big, I don't say business or lifestyle, and the people are super friendly. They love to say hello. It's a great time, and it's like she had a little nap as the school came out and all the kids wanted to say hello. So yeah, top of Telluride Pass again, more snow, and yeah, nice and rocky. Everyone loves a morning hike bike. Let's see who else we've got. I've got a few more to look at. Let's have a look at Rich Rothwell. Again, feel free to follow everyone. What's Rich saying? 20 hours ago, so that would have been yesterday. Doesn't look very happy considering he's racing his bike in Morocco, does he? Cheer up, Rich.
Okay, so race-wise, as you would imagine, I had like 20k of flat.
It sounds ruined.
Out of Marrakesh, up into some climbing, which eventually morphed into eventually the big climbs, like 20 miles.
This will be the big pass.
Yeah, absolute monster. But lots of people just went off like fireworks, as you would expect.
That's the standard thing at these races nowadays.
I just stopped, had a piss in a bush, let them go, and just settled into my own pace.
There we go. Rich seems to know what he's doing. Not gone too hard too early, which is a good sign. He's got a new bike, if you haven't noticed. And yeah, look at that, morning in the Atlas Mountains. Looks fantastic. It's a really magical place. It's one of the best racing experiences I've had, so I'd very much recommend any of Nelson's events. Let's have a little look, see what Chaz Christensen is up to. And look at that. That was just some of the snow at the top. Again, we're probably lagging a bit on the coverage here. That's CP1. Look at that, totally wrapped up. Yeah, it looks cold up there. Cold, but it's a dry cold, so it's not quite as bad. And this is what they're going to be riding. Not sure where that is. I suspect that's one of the areas. Oh, I know where this is. I did it in the dark. It's like a bit of a kind of a loose riverbedy type thing. There's a lot of that. And tea. This stuff is rocket fuel. Loads of caffeine, loads of sugar. It's good energy. And yeah, it looks like they're trying to keep warm again. There's a theme appearing. And then Robin Gimperle. I think I said that right again. And let's see what he's been up to, apart from absolutely smashing it up at the front of the race. Got his checkpoint. These are the official race photos from Atlas Mountain Race, so give them a follow. And nothing super interesting, just usual race stuff. So he's obviously feeling good because he's on his phone. So that is, pressing the wrong button again. Where do I need to go? Sorry, I'm not quite so smooth as I should be at the moment. That's my roundup for the second day of the Atlas Mountain Race. Are we going to see a clear favourite tomorrow? I think it's going to be a bit more attritional. I wouldn't be surprised if a few people start really dropping back, whether they have mechanicals or just fatigue. And what's going to happen in the women's race? is Molly going to catch up and get ahead again of Lisa or not? We shall find out. So I shall see you again tomorrow. And yeah, enjoy the dog watching.